In this video, we want to get into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty costs of what it's like living here and maybe give you some examples of things that you can expect before making that move here. And we're going to get after that right. What's up, everybody? I'm Kristen Carpentier with the Living in Dallas team, located right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And if this is your first time to the channel and you're looking for everything you need to know about what it's like to eat, sleep, live, work, and play here in the Dallas, Texas area, don't forget to click that subscribe button down below and hit that bell for notifications. That way, every single week when we're dropping new content, you'll be the first to know. I am a licensed realtor here, and my team and I are getting calls, texts, and emails every single day from people wanting to make that move here. So whether you're moving next week, next month, or even next year, reach out, give us a call, shoot us a text, and let us know what we can do to help you make that smooth move here to the Dallas, Texas area. Okay, so our cost of living. Obviously, if you're thinking of moving here to the Dallas, Texas area, you're probably considering purchasing a home. So we want to get into housing costs and a lot of the other things that go along with it before you make that move. Now, of course, talking about housing, here in Texas, we are going to talk about our property taxes and how high they are. Because here in the state of Texas, we are the 7th most expensive state in regards to our property taxes compared to other states all throughout the country. Now, our average property tax rate is probably around 1.93% based on the value of your home. But what exactly does that mean? Well, we're going to show you a couple different options and ideas, give you some examples of some of these cities and counties and how our property taxes work here in the Dallas area, for example. We pulled up the Denton County website. Denton County is a very large county up here in the North Dallas area. So when we go in here and we talk about the county, the city, and the school district that you might be living in, because that's how we base our property taxes. You do pay a portion based on the county and the city, but the largest portion based on the school district where you purchase a home. So even if you don't have kids in school, that's just how they determine your property taxes. So say, for example, you're living in Denton County and you're living in the town of Flower Mound, which is part of the Louisville Independent School District. Now let's make sure there's no exemptions in here, for example, to start. And then we go down and calculate the property taxes, which are about $9,300. And that's annually for your property taxes here, if you reside in the town of Flower Mound. But when you are moving to the Dallas, Texas area, for example, and you are purchasing a primary residence, you can actually get what is called a homestead exemption. So then you go in here and you click on your homestead exemption and you calculate it, and now your property taxes have gone down to about just over $8,500. So you do get a tax break by filing as a homestead exemption for your primary residence. Now, you are not able to do that, obviously, if it's a second home or a vacation home or using it as an Airbnb. Strictly for your primary residence do you get to take that exemption. But you are also entitled to some other exemptions as well. So if you're retiring and you're moving to Dallas, you can get an exemption if you're over 65. If you are disabled, you can get an exemption for that as well. So definitely some opportunities for a little bit of savings on your crazy high property taxes. But like we said, property taxes are based on your county, your city, and your school district. So that's just one example, one city here in Denton County. Now, if we move over here to Collin County and let's say Frisco, people are always asking about Frisco and they know that it has great school districts. So then we come down here to the Frisco ISD, make sure there's no homestead exemptions checked, and then we calculate what the tax rate is living in Frisco, and your estimated tax is around $9,000 a year. But you're moving here and you're putting your kids in school and you get to file your homestead exemption. And then we go down and we calculate, and we're now at like $8,500. So, just over about a $500 a year savings. We'll take whatever we can get, right? But another thing you can do with regards to your property taxes, you can actually contest those taxes every single year. Granted, you might be able to save a couple $100. And like I said, any savings is a good savings. And because the county comes out and they determine what the value is on your home. So say you've lived there for 5 years and they're comparing your house to a brand new home, fully updated. You can actually have your trusty realtor, like myself, for example, pull up some of those comps to help you contest those property taxes. Yes, we do have a lot of people who have a lot of success with that, who are willing to do that every single year. You can actually pay a service to file those, to contest those property taxes for you. But honestly, it's really easy. You do just have to go down to the county courthouse and show them the paperwork and hopefully get your savings on your property taxes. So definitely something to think about, just because it seems every year those property taxes go up. And the last couple years, a lot of us have gotten, big shocking property tax bills with the way that the home prices have increased here in the Dallas area. But also here in the state of Texas, we don't pay any state income tax. So zero income tax is also, a huge savings for you as well. Granted, the more money you make, the more savings that you get to benefit off of that, which is another reason why a lot of people are relocating here. In fact, we've had a couple of clients who've relocated here specifically for that reason. They knew that they could work from home permanently, and so they moved here to the Dallas area knowing that they were saving on their income tax and actually getting to keep a little bit more of that money in their pocket. So that is another bonus for living here in the state of Texas, and particularly here in the Dallas area, of having that savings. And obviously, the next step in owning a home is the cost of your utilities. So here in Texas, it gets hot. And in the wintertime, we can have a little bit of a cold spell. So you might need to consider what you're going to pay for your utilities. Now, obviously, the biggest chunk of money is probably going to go to your electric bill, because in the summertime, especially this last summer, we were running our air conditioning nonstop. But I do remember when we first moved into our home, it needed a lot of updating, and we actually remodeled a lot of our house. Well, first on the list was definitely getting all new windows. We had really awful windows. They were so hot all the time, and you could feel the cold air come in the wintertime. So we quickly got all of our windows replaced in our home. And it definitely helped a little bit on the energy efficiency and the savings in regards to our house. But right now we are currently paying about $150 averaged month to month. And you can do that as well. Once you've lived in the home a year, they will average out your utility costs, so you can pay that same payment throughout the year. If you use a little bit more electricity, that payment will adjust about once a year, where they'll re-examine how often they might need to change your electricity payment up or down just a little bit based on your usage. But one of the great things that you can do here in Texas is you can actually shop your electrical providers. And in fact, down in our description below, we do have a link with a great company that we work with that can tell you, based on the time of day that you're using your electrical services, or how often you use them and those types of things. They can give you the best plan to suit your budget. So it is nice to know that you can choose your electrical providers here in Texas and definitely save yourself some money based on how often and how you use your electricity. But also, knowing how hot it is, our air conditioning seemed to be working overtime. In our house in particular, granted, like I said, we had to do a lot of fixer-upper stuff in our home. We remodeled the kitchen and the bathroom, for example. But, finally our air conditioning gave out, and we didn't realize how bad we had it until we had a newer, much more energy efficient unit, and our electricity bill went down considerably. So obviously, the more energy efficient your systems are, your appliances are, will take into account how much you're going to be paying for those electrical bills. And if you're moving into a new build community, most of these homes nowadays are built a lot more energy efficient. So hopefully you can save a little bit more money there. But making sure you're staying on top of those things and keeping an eye on what it is you're truly spending can help you balance your budget and make sure that you are saving money any way that you can. But then we move on to the cost of, for example, the gas in our homes. And in the winter times, it can get cold, and obviously our heater is going to be running. A lot of people do have gas fireplaces, and you'll have to take into account what you're going to be spending on that. But it's not like living way up north or in Utah or Michigan or even New York, where it's going to be colder much more often throughout the year. Our gas bill, if you're using gas for your hot water or your stove, will definitely determine how much you use that. But here in Texas, it's not going to be super crazy cold as often as it is in a lot of northern areas here in the country. So your gas bill will be quite a bit lower than some of these other areas throughout the country. Another big one to consider is your water bill. Now, like I said, here in Texas, it's really green, and a lot of people have pools. So if you have a pool, if you have a big yard, lots of grass, lots of plants, well, you're going to need to pay to water those. And for example, this last year, it was so brutally hot, and people were doing everything they could to try and keep their grass green, which wasn't doing a whole lot of good in the heat of the summer. But the more you're having to water, people were paying $300, $500, $800 a month, especially if you owned a pool, in their water bills. It was crazy. So definitely something to consider. A lot of people here have pools, and with the grass and everything that we have, how much watering you're doing is going to determine how high your water bill is. Our water bill is right around $150 a month, something, but like I said, a lot of other people have had much higher water bills based on the pool and the yard that they have on their property. And another cost with owning your home is you're probably going to want your high-speed internet. Well, for us, my husband likes his internet to be really fast. We do, especially when he works from home. We have kids at home, when we're running the TVs and the computers and everything all the time. So we do have our service with Frontier, and we pay around $90 a month. You can go with Spectrum, you can go with Verizon, multiple options with who your internet provider is going to be, but that's pretty much what we pay for. We don't pay for the cable services or the phone services. We do just pay for our internet provider, because in the days of Netflix and Hulu and all of the other streaming platforms, we choose to pay for a few of those instead of paying for cable, because it probably all washes out in the end and we get more options. But definitely your internet provider here in Dallas, you can shop those as well based on where you live, but you're probably looking at around $60 to $90 a month. And based on where you came from, you might not be used to paying an HOA fee. Well, here in Texas, we realize that there are a lot of options and varying prices on your HOA dues. When we moved here from Arizona, we were living in a brand new master plan community, and with a little park and a little bit of grass area for our kids to play in, we were paying about $55 a month. And in fact, I'm sure by now it's even more than that. We had nothing else. It was a lot of rocks and not a whole lot of area to play. And when we moved here to the Dallas area, we just couldn't believe what you could get for the same HOA payment. You're probably looking in a community that does have a pool, maybe a couple playgrounds, around $50 a month. And depending on how big your master plan community is, the price is going to go up from there. But some of these big, gigantic master plan, brand new communities that they have here in the Dallas area, you're looking at maybe $134 to live in Windsong Ranch, or $150 maybe max. But a lot of these other areas, you're looking at probably $60 to $80 a month for your homeowner, for your HOA fees. And that is going to include typically your neighborhood pools and fitness centers, playgrounds, tennis courts, and all things in between. And we just couldn't believe how many options there were living in these master plan communities that had been around a while and paying, virtually almost what we paid for in Arizona for way more services and activities right within our community. But another bonus for a lot of people wanting to live in those HOAs is the fact that you get these neighborhood amenities, and you maybe don't have to worry about putting the pool in your backyard, because you can use the one down the street for free. Or, I mean, granted, it's what your HOA fees are going to pay for. So definitely another thing to think about based on where you're considering purchasing your next house here in Dallas. Another cost when moving here to the Dallas area is your cost of transportation. If you're moving here for work and you need to commute every single day for work, you may want to consider where it is that you are living. Because here in Dallas, we actually have multiple toll roads. So if you're heading down to Dallas, say from Prosper area, and you need to take the toll road down into Dallas, you'll be paying quite a bit of money. So of course, based on where you live and if you need to ride those toll roads is something to take into consideration. But you do have the option of getting a toll tag, which you won't have to worry about paying at any of the toll roads. You won't have to worry about mailing that in, and it will give you a little bit of savings. So let's kind of jump in, and we actually kind of want to give you an example of some of the routes that you could take or that you might need to do when living here in the Dallas area. So we've had clients move here to the Dallas area who've never had to worry about a toll road. They might have had to worry about the HOV lanes based on where they're coming from, but they didn't really have to be concerned with toll roads. In fact, that was how it was for us when we moved here. And, say for example, so we like to pull this up or give them this toll guru link that they can actually go take a look at based on where it is that they're looking to move, so that they can determine, what it might actually cost to take these roads all the time. And obviously, if you're just, using these roads once in a while, it's not that big of a deal. But when we're looking, say you live in the town of Flower Mound and you go and work in Frisco, or say you go to Frisco all the time because your kids are playing club sports. Well, then we kind of look into what it is that you're paying for those toll fees. And so we calculated just going from Flower Mound over into Frisco because you're going to take this 121 toll road over here. And the toll, not having to pay anything else, say you forgot to get your toll tag or you just moved here, you're looking at paying around $4.57 one way just to get there. But if you have a toll tag, you do get quite a bit of savings and you're just paying, $2.96. So not even $3 to get over into Frisco. But say you are moving, say you're going from Prosper, which is another big one. There's a lot of growth going on over in the Prosper area, and say you need to get to downtown Dallas because you need to commute for work. And then you're going to take this Dallas North Toll Road, as we'll show you here on this map. And this is going to take you down into Dallas. So as you can see, this toll road takes you all the way down in here. And if you're just paying one way, it's going to cost you $9 to get to downtown Dallas. But if you have a toll tag, it's only going to cost you $6. So that's another considerable savings just by owning a toll tag. But as you can see, coming all the way from Prosper to Dallas can be quite expensive if you're having to do it each and every day down there and back. Because, granted, you can take the side roads, but that's probably going to take you hours and hours just to get up into the Prosper area. So just giving you an idea of what it's looking like for a couple of different areas here in the Dallas area, here in the Dallas market, if you're having to take those toll roads. Just another expense, definitely something to think about, because that right there is going to be costing you over $90 a week just in your toll tag fees. But another savings that you do get here by living in the state of Texas is a savings on your car registration. I know, big, huge deal, right? But when we moved here, we didn't realize, we in fact thought that they had made an error on our bill because our car registration was so expensive in the state of Arizona. And when we moved here, it was $50. So $50 to register your car every single year here in the Dallas area was just a huge savings, and just another reason to have money in our pocket. And we just laugh all the time that I'm thinking, any way to save a little bit of money. We have 4 kids, they get expensive, and not to mention they eat a lot. So, if I'm going to save a few $100s every year on registering my car, we are absolutely ecstatic over that. So obviously another bonus for us when moving here was that car registration. Just another little known fact if you're actually moving here with a car. But another thing when we want to talk about the transportation is maybe you do move here without a car. Not something that we really recommend, but we did have clients who lived in downtown Dallas, and when they first moved here and they knew they were working downtown and they had multiple options on how to get to work, they didn't really worry about a car because they didn't want to have to pay for the parking that they needed to downtown. But obviously, when they moved out into the suburbs a little bit, they were finally ready to buy a car. But we were just surprised that we don't hear most of the time that most people go without a car. But you can do that here in Dallas if you really need to, because we do have a fairly good transportation system based on where it is that you're moving and living. Something to consider if you don't have a car, but because you can live next to the DART system if you are traveling down into Dallas. Maybe you're in Richardson and you have access to that DART system, or maybe you can carpool every day with somebody to get to the DART station and to get to downtown. But you do have that option for travel all around the Dallas area. You just might want to consider exactly where you're living to have access to get there. But you can use the bus system and the train system to get around the Dallas area if you absolutely need to. And it is relatively inexpensive. You can pay $6 a day to travel one way on the DART train, but you can also pay for a monthly pass, which is around $90. So if you're not wanting to have to pay for the gas or the car maintenance, and you don't need much more than to live downtown or to live in an area where you're not really relying on a car, or maybe you only have one car in your household, you definitely can do that. We just strongly recommend that you look into an area that the access to using the public transportation is much easier. And also thinking of transportation is our cost of gas. Granted, here in Texas, we pay a lot less than a lot of other areas. It's currently down to about $2.80 a gallon, which, if you're coming from California, we just had people call us. In fact, we've just talked to a couple of clients, one from Southern California and one from the Seattle area, and they just were so excited about the cost of gas here, because having to commute all the time and drive all around the city. They were paying so much for gas in their car, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, it's like this huge savings by moving to Dallas because we're not because your gas prices are so much cheaper." So, another reason to think that our gas prices are going to save you a little bit of money when you move down south. So, if you're moving here to Texas with a family and with children, another big expense that people talk about is the cost of childcare. Where do I get childcare and where are the best places for childcare? Obviously, there are multiple options, but some of these things that you read about here in some of these articles, we happen to be on Tutris where they talked about the cost of childcare here in Dallas. So, according to economic policy, the average cost of infant care in Texas in 2022 was over $9,000, which is around $777 per month per child. And if your child is over 4 years old, the cost is around $7,000 a month, which is about $589 or $7,000 a year, which is about $589 a month. Obviously, if your kids are in school full time and they only need aftercare, or maybe by then you don't have to deal with any child care at all. Obviously, you get a significant amount of savings. But when we go down here and we talk about preschool, age 1 to 4, full day monthly for one child is over $1,000. But after school care for 15 hours a week, one child is still around $850 because they're having to count into picking up your kids from school and making sure that they take care of them after school as well. So they're working in those transportation fees. So childcare here, we do have tons of options, whether it's a Montessori school or a preschool atmosphere, multiple options. Definitely check your local area. There are definitely a lot of resources based on your needs and availability on what it is you're looking for. But another thing that we were surprised about when we moved here was the cost of preschool because we were paying over $250 a month for 2.5 hours a day, 3 days a week for our kids to go to preschool. And when we moved here, we were realizing some of these kids were doing 3 and 4 days a week, but most of these preschools were between the hours of 9 and 2. So they got a lot more time for pretty much the same amount of money for the preschool. And we absolutely loved that most of these preschools were actually in a lot of the churches here in Texas because Texas actually has a lot of churches, no matter what faith you are, and a lot of them put on these great preschool programs. And we have had friends of all faiths going to all different denominations of these churches that had these great preschool programs. It wasn't necessarily church based, but the learning environments were fantastic. So they had multiple options in where to choose these great preschools here in the Dallas area. So being able to save a little bit of money if you absolutely need it and find some great preschools and something where your kids actually have a lot more time to learn, we thought was just fantastic and wish we had had that before we had moved here. So another thing to think about if you have kids when moving here to the Dallas area. And obviously, if you have kids and you're moving here to Dallas, you're going to be considering sports and what it's going to cost to put your kids in a lot of these sports programs, especially if they are getting up to the stage where they are in club sports and they are in travel teams. You can be paying thousands of dollars a year for your kids to be playing these sports because obviously when you move to Texas and your kids want to be involved, it's very heavily recruited by a lot of colleges by living here in the Dallas area with regards to sports. And if your kids want to go all out and play in high school, most of the time these kids are needing to play club sports as well to even have an opportunity to play at the high school level. So if that is something that you think about and you're considering, definitely check into the cost of those. Granted, the fees can vary quite a bit if you are not traveling and if you want to just play for the rec teams. You can pay $150 a month just to pay your local rec team if your kids need to get outside and play soccer. But at the club level, you'll be paying thousands of dollars because you're going to be traveling all around the country in order for your kids to participate in these sports. And then obviously when you get into high school, you're going to have to be paying a lot of those fees as well. Granted, not at the club level, but based on what sport they're playing, you could definitely be paying anywhere from a couple $100 a year in the high school to a couple $1,000s based on the sport that they're wanting to play. So the cost of kids, another reason, and what you need to be prepared for when moving here to the Dallas area. But you know what? We do always kind of want to keep it where, we've had a couple people reach out who are actually retiring and moving here to the Dallas area. And they're like, what about us? We don't have these kids. We don't have all of these extra expenses. But one guy in particular said, you know what? I need a great country club. I want to join the local golf club. And so we said, there's multiple options here in Dallas where you can do that. In some of these cities, there's some great golf courses and you can join the golf clubs there. So definitely another option if you don't have your kids, or, maybe you're retired and you just need to be able to get outside and enjoy this great weather that we have. So obviously lots of options for outdoor recreational activities, whether it's pickleball, which probably isn't going to cost you anything unless you find the pickleball league, or a great golf club that you can go join as well. So definitely something here for everybody in the Dallas area. And last but not least, we want to talk about entertainment, because when you move to Dallas, there's anything that you can think of to do here. If you're a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, or maybe you're not a Cowboys fan, you're just a football fan, you're going to be paying quite a bit to attend those football games. The average price of a ticket at a Dallas Cowboys game is around $200. And that doesn't even include the parking, which can be crazy expensive based on where you need to park for a game. Granted, you can get some tickets up in the nosebleeds back in the corner that are a little bit cheaper, but the average price of a football ticket is around $200. But maybe football is not your thing, and maybe you want to go to a Mavericks game, and the average price for that is around $59. So a big savings if you prefer basketball over football. But here in the Dallas area, we actually have every major sport that you can go and watch, whether it's basketball or soccer or football or baseball or even hockey. We have it here. And not to mention, we have multiple minor league teams here as well. So definitely another cost if you want your entertainment factor to go into your budget, which a lot of people do. But not only that, we have lots of free things. So whether you're into sports, whether you're into the arts, or whether you're into museums, you can pay for them or you can get them for free. And we love the fact that there are lots of things all throughout a lot of these cities where they are free. We have food festivals, we have art festivals, we have hot air balloon festivals, and so many of them are free. You might pay to go get food or to go shopping or to enjoy some of the perks at some of these events, but there are a lot of them that are free. And another one of these websites that we want to get into, just because Dallas has so much to offer, is to kind of show you some of the things that you can actually enjoy here in the Dallas area. So here on this website for the AT&T Performing Arts Center, you can go in and see how many events that just they offer. If you want Broadway and theater, if you want music, if you even want free events, they'll list some of those here. If you want family, comedy, dance, any type of event, you can go in here and see what is being offered in some of these locations. So if you want the Broadway theater, if you want to know where to go and enjoy these, you can look on here. Granted, this is just one example of things to do here in Dallas, and we absolutely just love checking some of these things out. So if you want to go see the Christmas Carol, I mean, it's Christmas time. The Dallas Theater Center has a Christmas Carol going on, and you have multiple things that you can check out throughout the year if you want to go see any of these performing arts. Multiple musicals and things that you can check out. But say you're more into music and you want to see, what concerts are coming in, or what you need, say you're a little bit more on the cultural side of things. If you want to go to the opera, if you want to go to the Performing Arts Center. But living here in the Dallas area, you have opportunities for everything. And like I said, if you want free events, if you like to attend concerts, if you love just attending outdoor festivals, we have lots of options for all of those throughout the Metroplex. But something to consider in your cost of living and the things that you like to do. But here in the Dallas area, we have lots of options, whether it's Six Flags or water parks or outdoor carnivals, the Texas State Fair, or the stockyards to go see a rodeo. We have everything in the entertainment industry that you can think of to participate in, because a lot of times people are interested in the things that they can do and how maybe they can save some money, or maybe actually enjoy the money that they do have. So any other questions about what it costs to live here in the Dallas area, don't hesitate to reach out. Call us, text us, send us an email, and let us know how we can help answer those questions and kind of maybe guide you a little bit more on the right location to live in or what some of these costs in some of these areas you might be looking at having to spend based on your wants and your needs. And anything else, don't hesitate to reach out and let us know what we can do to help you make that smooth move here to the Dallas, Texas area.